So what exactly happens to Overwatch now? Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Stylosa, and in this video we're just going to go over everything in detail on what the hell is going on with Overwatch. It is in a very weird place right now with Overwatch and Overwatch 2, how this is going to change going forward, and all of that. We really need to talk about this because I'm confused. But also, I think it helps if we look back at how we kind of got here. So what we know for sure is the Overwatch 2 beta runs until May the 17th. What exactly happens to us and Overwatch after that, we don't entirely know. Now, we do know there will be other betas for Overwatch 2, so I would hope that they will come fairly soon after. The current Overwatch 2 beta features Sojourn, reworks to Doomfist, Orisa, Sombra, and Winston, tons of other balance changes to practically every other hero. It's got Zen's super kick, it's 5v5, it's one tank, it's got push, it's got new maps. You know, it's got new content. So why in the hell would we be expected to go back and play Overwatch 1? Now, there is an elephant in the room here. If you don't have access to Overwatch 2, then you have to play Overwatch 1, so you're kind of stuck. But for everybody who's been playing Overwatch 2, what incentive is there to go back and play Overwatch 1 in its current state? It's a completely different game. It's 6v6. It's much slower. Abilities are totally different. It's a very weird predicament to be in. But here's the thing. What exactly is the plan from Blizzard? Well, I think we need to look at how we got here. Overwatch League. Overwatch League's 5th season had to run on Overwatch 2. We've known this since last year. They came out and announced the next season in 2022 will launch on Overwatch 2's early PvP. Now, this has forced Blizzard to launch the PvP aspect of the game as fast as possible. I'm almost certain this is the main reason why we're in this situation. You see, if Overwatch League started on Overwatch, I don't think anyone would care. Team owners would be mad as hell. Viewership would tank. They absolutely needed that Overwatch 2 tag next to Overwatch League to make it succeed because of the way all of their marketing has been built up until now. But then if you give the pros Overwatch 2, you can't really just leave the player base without access to that game. How or why the hell would they bother watching an esport they can't actually play? Now, this would be one of the worst decisions in esport history if it ever happened. And we all know Blizzard has got a great history when it comes to esports decisions. That's sarcasm, by the way, in case you didn't get that. Yeah, they don't. They have a bad history when it comes to esports. But at least they've given us access to the Overwatch 2 beta. Now, what they very cleverly have done is they've incorporated people like myself into this and loads of other content creators. So what we're actually getting is a flood of Overwatch 2 content that is completely supplanted Overwatch content. In fact, there's no Overwatch content out there. But it's really weird because only a limited number of people can actually bloody play Overwatch 2. So what is going on? It's very weird, but clever from their point of view because they're already starting to seed all of the content creators, all of the videos out there, all of the streamers with all of the Overwatch 2 stuff. So as people start naturally searching for Overwatch 2, they start finding our stuff and less of the old Overwatch, which is being replaced. But again, talking about elephants in the room, you still have Overwatch 1 is what literally 99% of the player base have got access to, and it's still a thing. It's so weird. Overwatch development. I think it's safe to say that very clearly 100% of the development team's focus is on Overwatch 2's PvP and PvE. Now, you've got to consider, we've seen very little of PvE. We've seen some stuff back in 2019, and in 2021's BlizzCon Online, we've seen some shots of the talents and stuff like that they were working on. But it's been very minimal exposure so far. I would hope that they've got an absolute avalanche of content for this mode. And when this eventually launches, then we can probably say, okay, sure, it is Overwatch 2 now. Of course, Overwatch 2 PvP looks extremely similar to Overwatch's PvP. And we've had all of the stuff with, you know, people like Donkey going in on the game and all of that stuff, which is completely fair because from a casual's perspective or somebody who has literally maybe played Overwatch in 2016, you then look at what they're branding as Overwatch 2 right now, and it looks very similar. But going back to the development, why would they bother updating an old game that's just being replaced? I'm going to say something that might be considered a little bit controversial here, but why don't they just update Overwatch with Overwatch 2 PvP beta right now and just be done with it? Like, what negative connotations does that have? Overwatch League is running on the PvP beta. All of the content creators are playing the PvP beta. Now, there's probably technical reasons for this that maybe don't have the engine ready or whatever, but it's clearly playable. Yes, there's going to be bugs. Yes, there's balance problems, but you would get a ton more feedback if the entire player base had access to the game. Now, whether it would be quality feedback, that's debatable, but you'd get more feedback, and also people would feel more invested in the game. The beta feels alive. It's being supported with new content, new balance changes, new updates. The live game is absolutely stuck in the past. It's not the new shiny thing anymore. In fact, it's not been the new shiny thing for the last 3 or 4 years. So why are they worried about converting the game to Overwatch 2? Overwatch 2 monetization. The only answer I've got to my previous statement is monetization. Overwatch does not make money. It tries to sell loot boxes in 2022. I mean, for a start, a number of European countries don't even allow random loot boxes by law. It's such an outdated model by today's standards. Surely they make very little revenue off them. They'll make some, but it'll be very, very small. So why waste a potential media or PR splash on converting Overwatch to Overwatch 2 PvP right now? You see, I suspect they want to make a massive media storm with the launch of Overwatch 2, and giving us the beta on live right now won't allow that to happen. But this takes me on to my next point. It's not Overwatch 2. This isn't really a sequel. As much as Blizzard would like to say this is a sequel, it's brand new, there's loads of new stuff, they're just building on what we've already got. It is, in essence, an update to an MMO, if you look at it that way. They're adding new features, adding new stuff to the game, but what we've got is essentially the same game. It isn't a complete change. It's not like the entire hero cast has been removed and we've got totally new heroes, completely new game modes, completely new graphics engine, and it's totally new. That is not the case. Instead, what this is a recommitment to support Overwatch. This is a relaunch of Overwatch. It is not a sequel. It's an overhaul to Overwatch. What is Overwatch 2? Is that the PvE element? Why isn't Overwatch League called Overwatch League 2 this year? So what exactly is the plan? On some day in the future, Overwatch updates and becomes 5v5 with new heroes, maps and modes, and then we wait until some unknown time for the PvE launch, at which point it becomes, I don't know, the real Overwatch 2? Will the game be going free to play? Will you have to buy the game? Is this an expansion to Overwatch? Nobody knows at the moment. It's all very confusing. And honestly, I don't blame you guys for being confused as well, because I'm confused. Then we look at the current beta. People think this is the entirety of Overwatch 2. I mean, this is why the likes of Donkey went in on the game massive and ripped it apart. But the thing is, it is not. This is the first of many PvP betas. And to be fair to Blizzard, they have started dropping weekly beta updates that do make this clear. The problem was the initial splash. The big beta key drop campaigns on Twitch, screaming and shouting about Overwatch 2, really set the expectations way too high. People thought, oh my god, this is the new thing. This is Overwatch 2. It will be revolutionary. It will be a massive update. Instead, what they were shown was basically enhancements to the game that they'd already played. So what did Blizzard do with Overwatch? Blizzard's got a couple of options here. They either end the current beta on the 17th and start the next beta phase a couple of weeks after to minimize the downtime. This is probably the most likely. I don't expect them to roll the betas over. I don't expect them to keep the betas active forever, because they probably do need to make big updates to the betas for each one. And I'd imagine they're going to add substantial features, whether that's new game modes, new heroes, new stuff every time they do a beta. And of course, they can make a splash around that and go, oh, here's the next beta. It includes a new support hero or something. And I'm sure people would really enjoy that and would come back to play it. The issue is, though, you've got downtime. And there's going to be a period of downtime. Will it be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Will it be a month in between these? Nobody knows. But the longer it is, the more difficult it's going to be to sustain the player base on Overwatch. Because, again, why would you play Overwatch if Overwatch 2 is the next hotness and we're just waiting for the next beta to come out? It's very weird. It's almost like they're stopping the game. They're not, because you can still play Overwatch. But if everyone's been consuming Overwatch 2 content, everyone's been, well, I say everyone, but most people, I can't even say most people, can I? But people who've had access to Overwatch 2 have been playing that. I mean, listen, guys, I don't want to go back and play Overwatch. So I just won't play Overwatch when the beta goes offline. I mean, why would I? They either convert Overwatch PvP to Overwatch 2 PvP, although, like I said, guys, this is very unlikely if you buy into the monetization issues with such a move. When that happens, there needs to be, the game has to go live, right? And if they change the monetization system, that's when I expect to see that hit the game. They start updating Overwatch 1 again. Now, this is super unlikely. The game is completely different. Overwatch 2 is a totally different game that is replacing Overwatch. So I don't think they'll go back and make balance changes. I mean, maybe it'd be nice if they sort of went back and looked at barriers or did whatever. I don't know, but it's just, it's an old game now. I mean, I can, in a way, understand the difficulty the developers must have had over the last couple of years where they're playing Overwatch 2, yet they're just seeing everyone complain about Overwatch, and the games are so radically different. I mean, it's hard to look at Overwatch and go, okay, what can we do to this? Because it's just old. I think in conclusion, it's just a very strange situation, and I think people will look back at this in the future and use Overwatch 2 as a great example of how not to advertise a sequel. It is very confusing. What do you actually get? If you own Overwatch now, what do you get? Do we get what we were told in 2019? Has that changed? Can you guys even remember what we were told we would get in 2019? Well, I can kind of remember bits off the top of my head. Things like, oh yeah, all the PvP will be free. There's no mention about PvE. So at least we maybe can guess or surmise that, okay, well, if you own Overwatch right now, you will get the Overwatch 2 PvP. But in what capacity, who knows? How will it change going forward? Who knows? I think this is just a very interesting topic to cover, guys, because while this isn't particularly on the game as such, and it's not a guide video, it's not a news video, it's not a discussion video on the meta or whatever's happening in the game, it still is a very weird situation that we find ourselves in. And I think it does make sense to pour some light on this and just sort of put this together in a kind of like a concise manner where we can look at a couple of topics and just sort of maybe try and work out what happens to Overwatch now. But the fact remains, Blizzard need to be more communicative, and they are, to be fair. There will be weekly blog updates about the beta, and I'm sure they've got some things planned. I mean, we've got the remix events on Overwatch 1 at the moment. Okay, they're not very exciting because it's just recolors of skins, but it does give you a chance to earn old skins before, I presume, they go away whenever Overwatch 1 goes away. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the video and watching. You can follow me on everything, which is at Stylosa. It has again been my pleasure to produce this video. And remember, do leave a comment below. I do love reading your comments. And if you like the video, that helps an absolute ton. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Toodaloo.